I started Tirzepatide, but not just to lose weight. I started it because every night while I'm asleep, my breathing stops, and this medication may help change all that. I'm not a doctor, a trainer, or weight loss expert, and this is in no way medical advice. I'm the person many of these medications are actually being prescribed to. Just a regular guy with a significant amount of weight to lose and some health problems that make losing it even more important. Later in the video, I'll tell you what I've noticed after the first shot, including the one side effect I felt almost immediately. And this was not a choice between doing the work and taking a medication. For me, it was a choice about whether medication could help me keep doing the work along long enough to change my health, basically. If you've been following, I just completed a 30-day calorie deficit diet and lost close to 20 pounds. A link to that video will be down in the description. I basically proved to myself that I could lose weight without the medication. But I also realized this is not just a 30-day problem. This is a long-term health problem. And if Terzepatide can help me stay consistent long enough to lower my weight, my blood pressure, and sleep apnea risk, then I wanted to seriously consider it. So, do you know Terzepatide, actually, the brand name Zepbound, has been approved by the FDA for treatment of sleep apnea? This was huge for me since I have mentioned this before. I have sleep apnea, also had high blood pressure, I'm overweight. I also had a couple of run-ins with atrial fibrillation or AFib, and guess what contributes to AFib? Yeah, being overweight, having high blood pressure, and the trigger, a big trigger actually, can be sleep apnea. This is the main reason I made the decision to go ahead and give it a try. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Mike, and I'm glad you're here. So I can hear you. You're saying, but Mike, a lot of people suffer from sleep apnea. They just use a machine at night. I know CPAPs help a lot of people, and I'm not telling anyone to stop using it. But for me personally, it was miserable. I gave it a 30-day try, and I could not get more than about 3 hours of sleep a night. I felt like a walking zombie. So I stopped using the machine, and about 6 months later, another round of AFib pops up. My cardiologist was not thrilled that I wasn't using the machine. He hinted that if you're not going to use it, there's another option that requires surgery. It's basically an implanted device. I think the brand name is Inspire, but basically they implant it into your chest. It stimulates the nerve that controls your tongue, helping to keep the airway open while you sleep, and it's all controlled by an app on your phone. I'm sure that may be a great option for some people, but for me, surgery felt like pretty big step and seemed a little extreme, but we'll see, I guess. I'm also surprised that in today's day and age, the best solution we have for sleep apnea is a CPAP machine. You fill the thing with water, distilled water, and strap it to your face every night. I travel a lot for work and can't imagine having to pack that thing up every trip, then finding distilled water once I land or before I get to the hotel. So when I learned about Terzepatide, I started researching it. I've been researching it for a few weeks, talked to both my cardiologist and my main doctor, and they both thought it would be a pretty good benefit for me to give it a shot. Terzepatide, Manjaro, Zepbound, what's the difference? I mean, I hear these terms and the names used quite a bit. Tirzepatide is basically the active medication. Manjaro is the brand that was approved for adults with type 2 diabetes, and Zepbound is the brand approved for chronic weight management. Zepbound was also approved for moderate to severe obstructive sleep apnea. So you might have heard how expensive it can be, and that's true. I've seen some reports, people said they've spent upwards of $2,000 a month, though today I think the prices have come down quite a lot, and there's some more cost-effective alternatives to the brand names, which I'll go through here in a minute. But Now, as far as FDA approval goes, only the brand names have that. If it is off brand, it's considered to be compounded, which basically means it's being made by a pharmacy and not in a factory underneath the brand name itself. And not all off brands are created equal either. So if you venture down that road, it's up to you to verify who's making it. Are they any other additives that they're putting in it? My doctor works direct with the pharmacy he trusts, and that worked for me basically. Plus, the price was more affordable because of my health issues. My insurance did approve a prescription. However, with my health insurance, my portion would have still been almost $500 a month. I think it was 495 for each month's dosage. So the compound version is about a third of that. So under 200 bucks. I'm not recommending anyone chase the cheapest vial they can find online by any means. I'm saying this is the route I chose after talking with my doctor and using a pharmacy that he works with directly. So he had experience with them, has been using them for quite a while. Also, note that if you go to the compounded route, you will most likely not get it in a injectable pen that measures out your dosage. It'll be in a vial, and you will need to inject yourself. So the brand names come in a 4-dose pen. You click it to each week, stick it, and you get your dose that way. On the compounded end, you will get it in a vial and will have to give yourself the shot. I had zero experience with that and thought of giving myself a shot. I was like, I don't know. But the first shot was done at the doctor's office, and they gave me great instructions on how to self inject. So I'm not gonna lie though, it took me a few hours thinking about it and getting all stressed out over the first time, which was just the other day. And so get myself all worked up and really for nothing. It went fine. And, as they say, first time's the hardest. So we'll see how it goes. So how does it work? Basically, it copies Terzepatide copies the action of two natural hormones that we already have, GIP and GLP-1. These hormones help control appetite, digestion, and your blood sugar, which is why it also gets prescribed for diabetes. What can Tirzepatide do? Well, mainly it will reduce your hunger and food cravings. It makes smaller portions feel more satisfying because it slows down how quickly food leaves your actual stomach area. And of course, leaving you feel full longer. And it can help regulate blood sugar. So, because people usually eat less, they tend to lose weight over time. I mean, that's exactly how it works. It doesn't magically burn fat, it's not some magic pill. It helps make the calorie deficit easier by reducing your hunger, slowing digestion, and helping me feel full longer, basically. So that's the weight loss side of it. Obstructive sleep apnea happens when the airway repeatedly narrows or closes while you sleep. For many people with obesity, extra tissue around the neck area, the tongue, your throat, chest, abdomen makes that airway easier to collapse. Think of it like your airway is a soft, flexible tube. Extra pressure on that tissue around it can squeeze the tube partially closed while you sleep. So, as tirzepatide helps you lose weight, there's less tissue around the airway, less pressure on your throat and chest areas. The airway remains open more easily, and breathing interruptions happen less often. And blood oxygen levels and sleep quality can also improve. Clinical trials found by losing weight, it significantly lowered the number of apnea and shallow breathing events per hour while you're sleeping. Does tirzepatide directly open your airway? No, not like a CPAP machine. CPAP works by pushing air through your airway, physically holding that airway open. For that reason, it's why tirzepatide should not be used as a replacement for a CPAP machine. I'm not telling anybody to do that. Since I just can't sleep with the machine, it was a solid option. Plus, being down almost 20 pounds from a month ago, this will aid me in keeping the weight loss going. Which has already reduced my blood pressure quite a bit. And using my, Apple Watch while I sleep, I can already see a reduction in the breathing disturbances that happen each night. It gives you a track and a little graph of each time your breathing was interrupted, and that has been slowly dropping for the last week or so. So, What have I noticed so far? Well, the first dose was small to see how you react to the shot. For me, I really didn't notice anything. I thought maybe I'm feeling less hungry after a few days, but by already being on the calorie deficit, I was already getting that feeling anyway. And maybe slight, not really nauseous feeling, just a not hungry feeling, I guess. And I would notice that mainly around the time I would normally eat, around dinner time or so. First dosage being low, there was no expectation of weight loss either. I'm down, I think, another 1.5 pounds since the last video that I did, my last weigh-in video, but I also started light workouts in my home gym, and I'm still doing the calorie deficit. So I don't think the injection had any bearing on weight loss for last week. With the higher dosage this week, I can definitely tell it's working. I'm not very hungry at all, and sometimes just the thought of eating makes me feel a little nauseous. So from here, I'll do an update in a few weeks and see where the scale is and how my sleep might be improving. In the meantime, I have a home gym video that'll be out soon, a couple health product reviews that I'll be doing. So stay tuned for those. How about you guys? Do you see GPL-1 medications as a legitimate health tool, or do you see them as just an easy way out? If you have any questions on all of this, please ask in the comments. I read and reply to all of them throughout the week. Please follow the journey, like and subscribe to the channel. And remember, start today, move more, eat better, just one day at a time. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.